Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Gergő Gulyás. I am the co-founder of iScale Group, and this is the second episode of Pilot Talks, a podcast that we launch to help the startups and the corporates to deliver a more meaningful pilots, let's say. So here we will interview both sides of the table, plus many other participants. So I'm not just talking about the corporates and the startups, but also lawyers and other stakeholders, larger organizations who are interested in making pilots happen. And basically, our aim with this is to help you to deliver pilots that actually will not die after the implementation and integration period. As you probably know, this segment is particularly interesting for iScale Hub in terms of our launching venture fund. And we work a lot with corporates and startups. So for us, it was natural to help. Today is the second episode with my dear friend, Nimrod Ludescher from BDN Automotive, who is developing something amazing in hydrogen. So Nimrod, please introduce yourself and tell us what's up, what's with hydrogen.
Yes, so hi everyone, my name is Nimrod Ludescher. I'm co-founder of BDN Automotive. What's up with hydrogen? Straight into the middle. Hydrogen is basically a fairly new and rapidly growing sector. The biggest driver of it is basically the EU's net zero laws and rules and regulations. So basically, we need to reduce our carbon footprint down to zero by 2050. And of course, we cannot do it if we do not make a big step change in the transportation industry, and not just in the transportation, but in all the other industries like energy and manufacturing as well. And what we're doing is converting currently existing vehicles or big diesel engines to run on hydrogen to lower the carbon footprint of those by 70 or 80%. So in a nutshell, this is our approach in hydrogen. And why hydrogen is very important is also a pretty important question. Simply, if you speak to engineers, you will understand that electrifying everything works, but not forever. So we need to create that electricity as well, and the energy comes from somewhere. We need to store it, and then we need to use it efficiently. And in this whole ecosystem, hydrogen will play a big role in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like that probably running corporate pilots and seeking corporate involvement for you is very important from day one. So even if you don't really have the working product as yet, it sounds to me that you will be looking very soon these kind of corporations. So collaboration. Sorry, how is that?
That is very true. Of course, we are way too small to do this whole transformation alone. So as I said, it's going to be a step change for the world, not for us as a company, but for the whole global ecosystem. So of course, large corporates are basically driving the market. So if we don't work with them, then we will surely not be successful in this field. So we need to start working with them as early as possible. And simply by the manner of, a corporate, when they do innovation, they are much slower. So they have the infrastructure for making things happen. But if they want to do the whole thing from ground up, it takes much more time for them. And this is where startups and more SMEs or agile foundations come into place, where we can do the things quick, and we can use their infrastructure, their network to spread it around the world. So I think this is the sort of collaboration, what startups and also the corporates should look for, because this is a win-win situation for everyone.
I think it must be very difficult to approach corporates without actually having the product ready. And so how do you mitigate this intricate balance between product development and the outreach?
Standard chicken or egg. So
Yeah, always the case.
every time is the same question. Of course, without having something in your hand, you cannot go to a corporate and say hello that, yeah, I want to change the world. I have a vision. So this won't work. You need to have something, but of course you cannot have everything, because as a startup or as an SME, you don't have the funds, you don't have the resources to develop everything from scratch, up to, like, I don't know, decent TRL level. So you need to find what's the bare minimum, where you can start the approach, and start the outreach, basically. And if you're there, then you need to start the outreach immediately, because otherwise, if you don't speak to people, then what are your chances?
Yeah. Plus, you need to understand the market as well, and you need to build these relationships.
Yeah, that's the second failure. What, like, a lot of startups are falling into that. You think that you're a technical expert and you keep developing something without asking, is it useful for the world? Is it the thing what they are actually going to pay for?
Mhm.
So this, of course, market intel needs to be there.
And in terms of your fundraising grants, so you just received some funding, as I heard.
Sure.
So you will probably need another sum to bring it even further. So how do these, like, corporate collaborations affect your valuation and exit potential? Do you see an impact on this?
Of course. I mean, if someone is looking for venture capital funding, like, what is the venture capital looking for? Someone who will pay for the product, what they co-develop with a company. So, of course, talking to the corporate firms is essential, and it definitely leverages the valuation of the company. And this is why we also started to reach out to associations or large corporates, not to sell them something, but to hear their voice, get a bit of market intel, and try to understand, especially in this, like, whole EU regulation and governmental things. Like, there is a rule that we need to go to net zero by 2050. Like, this is a rule, and this is an imagination. So this is not reality. Especially if we talk about, like, there is another rule for 2030 that we need to cut the emissions by 55%. Come on, I mean, this will be rethinked many times when we get closer and closer to the deadline. So we need to figure out what is reality. What are, like, the corporates working on now, and what is their plan for the next 1 or 2 years? So not long term, and not, like, imaginary things, but we need to see the reality. And this is where the market intel, this is key of everything.
Okay, we don't really have much time, but I just wanted to ask you, like, so we were talking about a lot of things: valuation, purchase orders, corporate collapse from day zero. So what would help you the most at this very moment? If somebody is listening to this podcast, what is the best thing that can happen after that?
I think the most important thing is really to understand which player should join at which point. So for a startup, of course, we need to do something and work on our vision and have, like, an MVP in our hand. But also from the corporate level, they shouldn't wait until the startup gets to, like, TRL 6 or 7, because it's simply, to get there, we need their network and we need their, like, development infrastructure as well. This is how it works efficiently. So I think this like small gap between the two words needs to close up, and we need to get closer to each other. And I think it could be achieved by a bit of market education, because if like both of the players know about the others' requirements and needs and then this whole thing can be sorted out.
All right. So is there any action point related to that? Like maybe inviting you to more podcasts, or how do you
network?
All right.
This is our 3 action points, because without speaking to the people, there's no solution.
All right. So if there is anyone who's listening to this podcast and interested about hydrogen, you can network with Nimrod. Thank you very much for your comments. I think it was very, very useful to see a startup's perspective on that. And also, like we discussed, I think the most important thing, that's the chicken and egg problem. Like what you mentioned, that how difficult it is for a startup to approach corporates while they are still developing something. And as you pointed out, to overcome this, we need to know about each other and network. So thank you very much, Nimrod, for your insights. And thanks for listening, the listeners. And we take it from here in the next podcast.